Hey beautiful, welcome to Dr. Sarah's Café. This video is all about important themes related to the Pisces new moon happening on February 27th. That is at 7:45 p.m. Eastern time, so you want to convert because for some of you it might actually be happening on February 28th, okay? Now, the theme that I have, the image, the icon that I have for this Pisces new moon is the lighthouse. Specifically a lighthouse in the fog. And when I was looking for images to convey this idea, this concept, this theme, I noticed that we most often view and take pictures of lighthouses on clear blue days where the sun is shining and we can see everything clearly. The lighthouse is standing tall in the sunlight, beautiful as can be. But the real purpose of lighthouses is on those days like today when it's snowing outside, right? When it's kind of foggy, it's cloudy, and we have low visibility where it's actually kind of hard to see things clearly because of the clouds, because of the mist and the fog. Now, overall, I love a pun. Okay, your girl loves a play on words. And so the theme I'm giving this is sailing the high seas. High seas is spelled Hisces. So it's a play on Pisces. High seas, sailing the high seas. If you get it, you get it. If not, let's just move on. So the first major theme that's coming out for me is secret planetary seance. Secret seance, secret planetary seance. There's a stellium, a mega stellium happening in Pisces right now. We have the sun, we have the moon, we have Saturn, we have Mercury, we have Neptune, and we have the North Node, right? So 5 planets plus the North Node, all in Pisces at the same time, specifically at the time of a new moon, is pretty potent, pretty powerful Pisces energy that we're dealing with. And thinking about themes related to Pisces, Pisces has a lot to do with what's hidden, what's secret. Secret societies and seances, the mediumship, the dead, those who have crossed the veil, right? Crossed over to the other side of the veil. And so I was thinking about, well, what are these planets doing in Pisces, right? Like they're meeting up, they're convening. And I almost likened it into a Pisces party, but it doesn't feel like party vibes, if I'm just being honest. And I don't know why. This is purely intuitive, okay? I'm not pointing to any specific astrological content as to why I feel this. I feel that it's more like planets coming together, not for a party, not for a blast of a time, but with a strategic mission, with a strategic intent. It's almost like they are convening, circling the wagons and saying, where is this headed? And maybe it's that North Node energy being present. Maybe it's the Saturn energy being present, but it feels like there's a greater purpose. And there always is when we're talking about the stars, but just thinking about why the idea of a party, these planets and nodes gathering for a party doesn't feel like the vibe. It feels more like a secret seance. Like we are they're like whispering and shoo-shooing, and you can hear muffled voices on the other side of the room, and people are discussing, and it's like you walk into a room and everyone goes silent. They've been talking about something. And so I don't know what it is, y'all. Let's wait and see. Maybe on the Pisces full moon in a few months, things will be revealed as to what was going on, like what these, cosmic energies were convening to discuss or to get done. But it just feels like they are up to something. Okay. So secret planetary seance. And this being a secret, being a sort of secret convening, we might not know or understand or see or even feel this energy in February as it's happening, right? This feels more like the secret pre-meeting of things that are going to roll out and things that are going to be executed or unfold for weeks, months, and maybe even years to come. When you think about the larger cycles of planets like Neptune or something like the North Node or even Saturn, right? Okay. So then the second major theme I have for this sailing the high seas, new moon in Pisces, I'm a trip. Hopefully y'all enjoy it, the slightly entertaining astrological conversations. So the second theme is steer your ship. Steer your ship. Okay, so keeping with that nautical theme, steer your ship. You're not just going to be tossed about, thrown with the waves. It's about you taking control and using the forces, the energy, and the power that's available to you to guide your big cruise liner, or to guide your submarine, which is very appropriate for Pisces, or to guide your, I don't know, barge, whatever, however you think of your ship, right? Steering it using the force and the power of the energies that are currently available during this full moon. And so some of the aspects that are playing into this theme of steering your ship, we have a square between Jupiter and Gemini in the moon. So this moon in Pisces is squaring its own dispositor. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. So this moon is squaring the ruler of the sign that it's in, and that is creating torque. Not because it's in that sign, but just because it's a square. So square energy, and I talked about this in my weekly refill, but square energy, the planets are shaped like that. They're shaped like a square. They're making a 90-degree angle. And when you push, you create torque. You push at a 90-degree angle, you create torque. And so torque is what makes things spin. It's what makes things spin, right? If you get T-boned in your car and you spin in the other direction, that's torque. Torque is what makes things spin. And so the flavor of the week for the week that this video is being published is propeller. So you think about propellers turning in a circle. They're turning in a circle and they create power. They create torque. They create force and energy that moves planes, that moves giant cruise ships, right? And that's what we have with the energy of this full moon. So I was thinking about Pisces being water with this torque energy, like a propeller moving through the seas, right? And that's how I came up with the idea of steering your ship. We also have, though, Gemini energy present because that's where Jupiter is. So the squares between Pisces and Gemini. And if I were to follow this nautical analogy, I think Gemini being an air sign is adding wind in your sails, right? So this torque power. And again, you'll hear a lot of astrologers say, and rightfully so, squares can be difficult, squares can be challenging, squares can be put things under a lot of pressure and a lot of tension and a lot of stress, okay? And so it takes a lot of maturity, a lot of dexterity and control and skill to direct some of this intense, harsh energy. But if you are so inclined to leverage it for the highest good, then that air sign energy being a part of the square, I think, is like putting wind in your sails. And then it's also in a loose trine to Mars and Cancer, which is now direct. So Mars has recently gone direct. Thank you. Hallelujah. Okay. Woo, we glad to have Mars direct, especially in the sign of Cancer, because Mars is already uncomfortable in Cancer. So to be retrograde in Cancer was not the most comfortable transit, but it's now direct. And I talked again this week about Mars going direct being like that propeller energy, creating propulsion through the water. So it's adding more force, adding more direction, adding more speed, adding more power to the torque, to the wind, the solar power, the turbine power, the various forms of power that we have with this Pisces new moon. And Pisces might not be a sign that is associated with power in that way, but with these aspects and these planets in the positions that they are, I think this is going to power a new manifestation. So whatever your seeds you're planting, whatever intentions you're setting, whatever you set out to manifest, to start manifesting under the light of this Pisces new moon, I will share the 12 themes for each of the 12 zodiac signs at the end. But just keep in mind that it has an opportunity to be propelled forward with the help of this sort of square torque energy, Gemini being involved, the Jupiter there, putting extra wind in your sails. And then that positive aspect, that trine to Mars and Cancer, again, more water, sort of being like that underwater propulsion, right? To move the cruise liner, to move the submarine through, you think about being underwater, it's not easy to see down there. It's kind of dark down there, right? Which is where the third major theme comes in at. The one that I think really speaks to me as I share, my own perspective on this astrological moment, is the lighthouse and the fog. And to me, that is Neptune conjunct the North Node. So Neptune and the North Node are in Pisces. They're part of this secret planetary seance that we have going on. And also Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. Okay. So this moon's rulers are both activated, are both involved in some way. The square to Jupiter being the traditional ruler, and Neptune being in the sign and making a conjunction to the North Node in the sign that it rules, I think lends a lot of, again, power, support, strength to this Pisces energy. So this is a very strong, very powerful Pisces new moon. Again, as you think about setting your intentions, you are supported. You have extra support, extra juice, extra gas in the tank, right? But the Neptune and North Node conjunction feels like lighthouse in the fog to me, because Neptune is foggy and North Node is direction and clarity and purpose and drive. So the North Node is the light and Neptune is the fog. Okay. So I'm seeing, there's a dream, there's a fantasy, there's something nebulous, there's something kind of murky, something that I can't quite grasp. It's kind of ephemeral, kind of abstract. But that conjunction to the North Node, there's a beam there I can make out in the distance, a beam of light I can make out in the distance of all this fog. Okay, I have a signal. I can find a signal in the noise that guides me and directs my path to where I need to go. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps. It's really resonating with me as I'm saying it. It's like, yes, the fog adds mystery. It's not anything to be feared. It's not anything to be afraid of. And just at the brink of maybe getting anxious, at the brink of maybe getting worried that you're completely lost, that North Node light, that North Node lighthouse beam makes itself known, and it shines in your direction, and it says, you're headed in the right direction. Keep going forward, right? Or turn here, turn there, right? It feels really loving. It feels like angelic assistance. It feels like divine assistance. It feels like your higher self always being tapped in, always tapping in. It feels like your ancestors, gently putting their hand on your back and kind of nudging you. And, it just feels really loving and really supportive. And so, again, there have always been, and will likely continue to be difficult things happening in the world and society, and also in individual people's lives. And again, my goal, my purpose with this channel is to make people feel empowered to live the best life they can live, to face the day, to face their life, to face the world with as much spiritual strength, spiritual courage, and to really lean into the spiritual gifts you were given to help the world. We all came here with at least one spiritual gift, and it was part of our mission, part of our soul's contract, that we would recognize and develop that spiritual gift and use it, whether it's to lift people's spirits, to encourage people, to educate people, to help them heal, to provide them sustenance and support. So North Node speaks a lot of, traditional astrologers might disagree. Modern astrologers might say different kinds of astrologers, different schools of thought say otherwise. But in how I read astrology, the North Node does speak to a destiny point, right? It does speak to an evolutionary destiny path that we could choose to take. And conjunct Neptune, it could encourage us or enable us or inspire us rather to dream a dream. And we might think, oh, it's just a dream. But I sense, as I look out at the snow flurries, it's really coming down now, and it's quite beautiful and peaceful in a quiet way. I think about how quiet snow is when it falls as opposed to rain. And I don't know why this is coming up now in this moment, but you have a dream, and it could be so easy to dismiss it in the world we live in, where we're just so conditioned to make everything practical and everything has to be grounded and logical and rational. But that dream is likely, whether it's a literal dream or just, a daydream or you using your imagination, it's likely your soul speaking to you, your heart speaking to you, your spirit guides speaking to you through the language of a dream, through the language of a fantasy or a daydream that speaks to, informs you of your spiritual path, your spiritual gifts, that gives you clues and hints and sort of, again, like a lighthouse, sort of lights the path of a spiritual destiny for you, right? A lot of the details and the clues and the directions and the insights, inspiration is all part of the spiritual path, okay? Now let's get into the 12 signs. So I'm going to put them on the screen. And if you just want to quickly look at your sun or rising sign and maybe even your moon sign, you can do that. But I'm also going to talk through each of them just in case you can't see the screen or if you're not looking at the screen for any reason. So no worries there. We'll start with Aries. For Aries, this Pisces new moon is happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is traditionally associated with Pisces energy. And so I always recommend free writing and automatic writing because this deals with things that you can't see. It deals with the unseen. It also deals with hidden things, and it deals with retreat. And so I think you can focus on areas of your life that you might feel need to be hidden. Maybe you signed an NDA and so they have to be hidden legally, but it could be those parts of ourselves that we're afraid to show people or that we're afraid to acknowledge and look at for ourselves, right? And this could also be, the unconscious, the subconscious, and just your spiritual life in general. Taurus, this would be your 11th house of friends, friendships, groups you belong to, associations, your larger network, and as well your long-term vision, okay? Gemini, this is our 10th house of career, public life, and legacy. So you probably already know. Most people who have goals and intentions know how they might apply to their career or their long-term legacy. Cancer, this is your 9th house, which deals a lot with foreign travel, global philosophy, global mindsets. So foreign people as well, even if you're still at your local place, you might be interacting more with people from abroad. This is also higher education, universities, but also just advancing your own knowledge, right? And then philosophy, your life philosophy, your spiritual philosophy. This also has to do with publishing and marketing and broadcasting things out into the world, and teaching in general. Leo, this is your 8th house of things you borrow and share. So that could be borrowing money, borrowing resources, splitting a room with a roommate, right? So shared housing, shared finances, shared contracts, shared obligations. Also marriage is in this place too. I know a lot of people talk about the 7th house for marriage, but the 8th house is where you divide up your marriage assets and you say, this is our shared bank account. These are our separate bank accounts. The 8th house is also the occult. Things like tarot and psychic abilities. It deals with death, so also mediumship there, and long-term wealth, so long-term investments, again, dealing with things like taxes, but also like a retirement plan and that sort of thing. Virgos, this is your 7th house, which is just straight up partnership, relationships of various sorts, but they are equal relationships, one-to-one relationships. So it wouldn't be your boss. It wouldn't be like your personal assistant. It would be more like a colleague who's at or around the same level as you, or it could be a business partner where you go into the business 50-50, you share the responsibilities. This could also be people you employ to advise you. So like therapists, counselors, a doctor, like one-to-one relationships where, both people are respected as equals. It could also be your clients as well. So you might be hiring a professional consultant, but you might take on consulting clients or medical clients or that sort of thing, depending on your profession or career. Libra, this is your 6th house of your health. Okay, so your physical health as well as your mental health, self-care, all that kind of stuff. Also your daily routines. So daily habits, you're going to the grocery store every Friday, working out every morning, or, saying prayers in the evening, just things that establish your everyday lifestyle. And this is also your work. So not your career, like the 10th house, but more so like the tasks that you do for work on a daily basis. And this also involves coworkers as well. Scorpio, this is your 5th house of fun, play, pleasure, dating, and things that we gamify, things that humans have come to gamify, right? That could be anything. So let your imagination run wild there. But also things like hobbies and small businesses, right? Things that feel like passion projects. Sagittarius, this is your 4th house of home, family, roots, ancestry, the base of your life, the foundation, the roots of your life, and things that you have literally built on, right? So it could be lessons from your childhood, inheritances. Also 8th house for Leos, that's inheritance as well. Capricorn, this Pisces new moon is happening in your 3rd house of communications and your local environment and things like social media, small, everyday, mundane tasks. Also like elementary, basic knowledge and skills. So this is like if you were to start a new career, like in a brand new career field, and you had to go back to school to learn the basics, that would be going back to your 3rd house, right? Aquarius, this is in your 2nd house of income and things that you value, including yourself and your possessions. So possessions you have that have intrinsic value, monetary value, emotional value to you, and also your self-esteem and the money that you make through like your work, your job, your skills and your talents that you use to earn money. So it wouldn't be an inheritance, for example, something that you didn't necessarily work for. This would be things that you actually work to own. And then Pisces, this is you, honey. Okay, this is your 1st house. Baby, it's you, the way you are, the way you talk. I'm going to listen back to that and see if I'm going to leave it in the video or not. Because I am not a singer. But it's your identity, your appearance, the way you present to the world. And your 1st house is like a free space on the bingo card. And you can pretty much filter it through any area of your life and work to manifest kind of anything that you as an individual would seek to bring in or call in. All right, my dears, I hope that this has in some way helped you to refill your spiritual cup, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.